Good evening, everybody. Okay, we're going to give it another try. Good evening, everybody. Okay, y'all don't have to speak anymore. My name is Octavio, or if you're practicing your Spanish or already speak Spanish, Octavio Garcia Ruiz. I work for Green River College as an educational planner. That's the actual name of my title, but I'm an academic advisor. And so we're split up by alphabet, and so I work with students G through L. So any of the students with the last name G through L, you're going to be working with me if you end up coming over to Green River College. If you have two last names like I do, we'll figure it out for you. Don't stress about it, okay? So you may be working with me or not. And so as far as Green River College, right, running start, we have these slides I'm going to go through. It is a longer presentation, but obviously I'm going to have to condense the time. So don't mind me if I kind of rush through some of it. I want to make sure I get you the information that I believe is important at this point in time. And then later on, if you have other additional questions, right, you can always reach out to our Running Start department. So as far as Running Start, so what is it? I won't get into the actual legislation part, but basically across the state of Washington, students are able to take college classes directly at the technical colleges or community colleges or even some universities. And so earning credit, and they could potentially get a degree by the time they graduate from high school. It really just depends on timing. Do they start their senior year? Do they start their junior year? Right? And also, hopefully they're passing their classes, right? That can affect it. Or if they change the degree path that they're going in, that can also affect whether or not they complete a degree on time. But anyways, as far as that, so again, any students that are attending here, there are some eligibility requirements which are in the pamphlets that y'all picked up. So feel free to read through those. Again, I won't bog you down with all of that information quite yet. But as far as why Green River College, so obviously we're pretty close. That's always a benefit, right? Who wants to go to Highline College when you're over here? It's very far. So that's a big benefit of staying out here. But also personalized advising. So again, we have 4 advisors there at the college, me being one of them, of course. And then from there, we have a lot of degree paths, right? So if you're going to transfer to university, we have ones that are specifically geared towards transferring to a university. If you are going to maybe get a certification, right, we have certification programs. If you want to go into a technical degree, we do have those as well. Like if you want to go into aviation, maybe welding, right, in addition to that. So it just varies on whether or not we have the degree. Most likely we do have a path for what your interests are. But again, that's something that you can check with us either on the website or just reach out to us later on. There are study abroad opportunities. So I just had a student that got back from Japan in December. So he took classes over there in Japan. He was there for a few months, for about 3 months. Came back with 15 credits, right? And they still applied to his degree. It took planning, right? We started talking about it junior year. Beginning of senior year, he ended up going and then came back after the end of the fall quarter. And then also, so we're committed to diversity and equity and making sure that students feel welcome on our campus. And there are student leadership opportunities as well. So some of the benefits of Running Start, obviously finishing a degree, right? You could potentially get 90 credits by the time you finish. And then we also have what we call DTAs. So some of you may be aware, some of you may not. So across the state of Washington, the technical and community colleges have what we call DTAs, direct transfer agreements. So the direct transfer agreement, I'm going to give you the really simple version, but basically everything you take will transfer to the university. Now, a majority of the public universities in the state follow that policy. One of the schools that doesn't is University of Washington. It almost follows it to a T, but there's just like one little thing that's missing there that it won't follow. So that's just something to keep in mind. But again, that's something we can talk about later on. So students can take up to 15 credits a quarter, and so that's a really big benefit, right? So depending, again, on your schedule, how many classes you take here will determine how many you can take at the college. Also, depending on how many activities you're involved in, maybe you don't want to take all 15, right? So there's a lot of factors that come into play. But it's also a flexible schedule, right? I know when I was in college, I was one of those people, get all the classes out of the way early on. So I take my classes all in the morning. I'd be done by 11 or noon, and then I have the rest of the day to do homework. It's not just going out and having fun, but there is, there's a lot that comes with it, and I'll get into that here in a little bit. Yeah, so opportunity to get the degree, and then, so something to consider and this is really where I'm going to kind of talk a little bit more in depth about this slide, is some things to take into consideration with Running Start is how much time you actually have to study, right? So you're not in class as long as you are here at the high school, but for every 5 credits, so if you take a 5-credit class, so you're expected to study outside of that 5 hours, right? So realistically, 15 credits, right? It's more of a full-time job because it's, 10 credits, 10 hours a week for a 5-credit class. If you take 15 credits, most likely it's 3 classes. So if you times the 10 by 3, right, you're looking at 30 hours of study time. Now, some subjects may be easier for you than others, right? So some of them you may fly through, but also make sure that you give enough time to each class depending on how easy it is for you or how difficult it is for you. Some other things to kind of take into consideration is that it is an adult learning environment. This is the first thing we tell students once they've been admitted into Running Start, is we make sure that we emphasize that it's an adult learning environment. I was just telling Ms. Gibson here earlier, the thing that I tell students is, like, I'm not going to go and search for you in your class. If you are not communicating with me, I'm not going to come and find you. You have to come and look for us, right? You have to come and reach out to us. You have to be proactive. Our role as advisors is different than a high school counselor. We got a lot of students that confuse the roles. They assume that it applies exactly the same. I do not know how you're doing in your class when you're actually taking it. So if you're, 5 weeks in and you're wondering why nobody's coming and talking to you, say me. That is why, because I don't know how you're doing in class. You're the one that knows. You're the one that's supposed to let us know, hey, I'm having trouble, or can you help me with this? I need tutoring, right? You come and talk to me about that. Because, again, it is an adult learning environment. We want to make sure that we're transitioning students and getting them prepared to go to a university if that's what they want to do. But also setting realistic expectations, because your teachers are also going to expect you to be proactive. Again, they're not going to come and check in with us all the time. There's a few here and there that do, but that's up to them if they decide to do that. And then as far as, coordinating the schedule. So let's say you have sports at 3 o'clock. You got to be here at the high school. Let's say you're playing soccer, right? We want to make sure we give you enough time to get here after class, right? So probably don't schedule a class that you're going to get off at 2:50, right, and try and be here by 3, right? So scheduling can be a little bit difficult too. If you're taking classes here at the high school, keep in mind that we do not schedule our classes based on your high school's schedule. So if you need to take a math class and you take it in the middle of the day, but then there's a class you want to take or need to take for something you're interested in, let's say one of you wants to go into engineering and you need to take physics, and the only physics that is offered during the time that the one that you want, right, is the exact same time as the one that you are taking right here, right? Then you're going to have to make a decision. Do I take the one at the college, or do I figure something else out here, right? And so that's up to the student to make that decision. We can't make adjustments, right? We can't go talk to the teacher and ask him for permission to let you come in late or go in early or stay later, whatever that the case is, right? So just keep that in mind, that, again, it being an adult learning environment, students need to make sure that they're keeping track of what times they're going from, if they're taking any classes here to going to the high school and all that, right? And in addition to that, right, transportation. Can you get to the college if you need to? Not every class is going to be online. I have a lot of students that are like wanting to take classes online every single quarter. It is possible, but again, it depends on what you're trying to study. If you tell me you want to be an engineer, I will tell you right now, do not expect online. You can expect a variation, maybe a hybrid classes, right? So maybe you're going to be spending some time online, but then expect to be in the class at some point. So I do want to make sure that y'all are aware of that. Like, it's not just all 2 years fully online. And even the online classes that we do offer, they go really quickly. So it's also up to the students to make sure that they're staying on track and making sure they're turning in all of the documents they need to be able to enroll in classes on time. And I will say this too, I do not enroll you in classes. You enroll yourself in classes, right? So if you tell me, hey, I'm trying to get into this class, and then you contact me a week later and say, why am I not in this class? I will tell you, why didn't you select the class, right? So why didn't you put yourself in there, right? So again, I know I'm maybe overly emphasizing, but I want to make sure that you understand that it is an adult learning environment, and we do want students to understand they have to be the ones to take charge and be proactive. And parents are not going to be getting emails. The students are the ones that are getting communicated to, okay? So parents, if you're wondering, like, well, I haven't heard, I hope they're doing well in class. If you contact me, right, depending on, there's a FERPA policy that we have to follow, so there's rules on information that we can't give out into who, right? So depending on whether or not there's been forms filled out for that, I may or may not be able to even give you information, right? And if it's actively during the quarter, right, again, I don't know, you don't know, only a student knows typically. So then the student, it's up to them to make sure that they give out the information to me and to the parents if that's something that you want to make sure you're aware of. And so again, just want to make sure I emphasize that. So free and reduced meals are not offered at the college. So if you go to the lunchroom, right, you're not going to just be able to go and grab like a pizza or a burger or something. Now, we do have the Gator Pantry, but that's not necessarily fresh, hot food. That's more so like, hey, I need rice and beans. Like, I'm short on food this week. I need some help. And so, you can take food to make at home kind of stuff, right? So just make sure you keep that in mind that we don't have that at the school. High school and college, the schedules differ. Transportation can be difficult. So success in Running Start, communication is going to be key. So a lot of what I'm telling you right now, again, comes back to communication and students being proactive. I have some seniors, surprisingly, that I will tell you right now that they contact me around this time or might not contact me till April or May and ask me, hey, am I on track to graduate? And I'll ask them, like, have you talked to anybody? Because I haven't heard from you at all, right? So, again, do not go into that because sometimes what will happen is you're not on track to graduate, and I have to give them the bad news that, hey, whoever you were talking to or whatever information you got up to this point isn't working out for you, right? So make sure that you're actually out there actively trying to get that information, trying to keep track. If you do change anything, right, go and talk to your advisor. We're here to help you out. Paying attention to everything. A lot of emails. So one of the things that a lot of people struggle when they're transitioning to Running Start is emails, not checking them. I get told all the time, hey, why haven't I heard about this? We've sent 5 emails over the last month. Please make sure that you read the emails if you do decide to come over to Running Start. We send a lot of important information. We're not just trying to spam you. We're not sending you any big offers or anything. If we do offer you something, it's actually important. Maybe we offer a scholarship opportunity, right, to pay for something else, right? So that's the only time we might actually send you something that you get something in return. And so let's go to college versus high school. So the policies and procedures are going to be different, right? Like I kind of mentioned earlier, talked about what's called FERPA. So it basically for student security to make sure that their information is protected, right? And so dates and deadlines are different as well. So whatever you're doing here doesn't apply to the college. So if you have a family vacation that you plan every year around October, right? And the school just gives you a packet to do your homework, that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to happen at Green River College. What if it's around midterms and you need to be at the school to take an exam, right? So there's a lot of situations that come up like that that we need to make sure that we're aware of. So again, the student is the go-to for all of us. Okay, so I'm trying to emphasize this. We emphasize this as well when you do orientation, but want to make sure that everybody's aware and that this is how it works. So advising, so again, I'm one of the advisors. We help plan out your time there, but again, you have to be proactive and ask us about scheduling an appointment where we can go in and plan out your entire 2 years. Again, I've had students that don't talk to anybody and then figure it out at the end, but save yourself a little bit of stress and let's figure it out at the beginning if you decide to attend. Math placement. So some of this stuff I won't go into. Let's see. Resources. So we have tutoring on campus for a lot of different subjects. We also have counseling and then also accommodations, so disability support services. So here at the high school, if students have something that some kind of condition or whatever it may be where they need accommodations, typically the high school is already on top of all that. At the college, again, because we're protecting students' privacy and all that, it's up to them to let the college know that, hey, I have ADHD and I need accommodations for taking tests, right? That's up to the student to go and do that. They're extremely helpful, so please, if that's there, go and check. So the counseling, tutoring, and all this is free. Okay, it's no additional cost to students outside of what they would already pay. Cost to attend, so Running Start is not free. The part that doesn't cost you is going to be the actual tuition, which is the highest amount that most people pay. What students actually pay is going to be the student voted fees, books, supplies, things like that, right? So tuition itself, you're looking at around $1,500 for a quarter, right? So that's going to be covered. But the additional fees associated with attending college are not going to be covered. And so this is just a scenario, right? So usually students pay around $200 to $300 a month. Not a month, a quarter. It sounds a lot better when I say quarter after a month, right? So this is just to give you a general kind of a typical situation, right, when students do have to pay. So we do have the fee waiver and book loan program. Now this is for students that either qualified for free or reduced lunch within the last 5 years. So let's say you don't qualify for free or reduced lunch this year, but 2 years ago you did, you could still qualify for this. Or if you were part of a college-bound scholarship, right, receiving public assistance, foster youth, McKinney-Vento, and income eligible as well. So there's a few ways to qualify for this. But the benefits of this, it helps cover, so if I go back here, it helps cover the registration fees, the $184. Some of the class fees aren't always covered, it just depends because those vary. And it also helps with getting books as well. So students are given an amount per quarter that they can spend on books. So this additional assistance for some students that may need it. And so again, with the fee waiver, they would only end up paying just those additional fees, right? Not that main student voted fees. So getting started, for those of you that picked up that pamphlet that has all the instructions, so I won't go too deep into this. So you'll have to apply to the Green River College first. If you go to the Green River website, go to Running Start page, you'll find a list of instructions of what you need to do, all of the eligibility requirements and such to make sure that you qualify. If you contact me tomorrow, I'm going to defer you to our front office. They handle all the admin work. I'm here for the fun stuff, picking the classes, that's it. We like to help, but they do a lot of the administrative work and all that. So they're the ones that know what's going on at that point in the process, more so than I would, because I'm in appointments a lot of the time. But yeah, English 101. So students need to be able to qualify for English 101. So cumulative GPA of 2.5 or above. College success assessment, smarter balance assessment. So there's a few different ways to do that. But this will be a requirement in order to be able to attend Green River College, well, Running Start. So getting started, so there's a bunch of forms that need to be filled out, and then, sorry, let me get through this. Okay, so this I will go over for fall quarter. It's coming up, so submit the enrollment packet by April 1st, if you could. Enrollment opens in late May, so usually it's around like May 25th or something like that, so that's when students can actually pick their classes. So again, April 1st, submit your enrollment packet. The quarter starts September 25th. Okay, so there's a big gap. So please try not to wait last minute to do this. It's going to be very stressful for you. It's not going to go at the pace that you would like. If you wait until the end of June, a lot of people that work here are not going to be working here, and so you're not going to be able to get your documents signed that you need. So make sure you do it before that date. Contact information. Again, there's a lot more that I could talk about. We'll answer questions later, and I'll give it back to Julie.
Thank you. So, just to be clear, Running Start is a great opportunity. We've invited our Green River representative. They obviously are the closest college that we have. We do every year have a couple of students go to Highline, a couple of students go to Renton Tech, and so those are absolutely options available to you also as a Running Start student. Running Start it's a tremendous opportunity, but as Octavio said, we aren't able to hold your hand through that process, even as high school counselors. And so it's so important to you, it's so important to go to that Green River website, look up Running Start. They walk you through all of the details. Green River, the Running Start program is eligible for our students at a 2.5 plus. However, I will say, as high school counselors, we see higher success for our Running Start students when they're more in that 3.0 category and above. You can get accepted at 2.5, that's great, but we want you to be successful on that campus. And so just know we see a bit more success when we hit that 3.0 category. Let's see here. I want to go to this and then we'll move forward. We, high school counselors, will be in classrooms next week. We will be in, if you're a 10th grader and if you're a 9th grader and you're in world history, we'll be in your classrooms. If you're a 10th grader and we'll be in your English classrooms. And if you're a junior, we will be in your U.S. history classrooms. And we will be going through registration presentations for next school year. If you are currently a 10th grader, Running Start is open for 11th and 12th graders. If you are currently a 10th grader and are interested in doing Running Start, I really encourage you to go to probably Green River, but maybe Highline, maybe Renton Tech. Go to their websites and really read through that information in detail so you can take what Octavio has said here, couple it with what you read there. So when it comes to registering for next year's classes as a high school student, you're ready. There is on your registration forms that you'll be receiving next week. If you are choosing to be a Running Start student, that is the course you will choose. On your forms, there will be a Running Start category, and that is what you will put for your course selection for next year. You will choose Running Start. If you're going to be a full-time student on a Running Start campus, that's all you're going to put, Running Start. That's what you're doing full-time. Maybe you're going to go part-time. Maybe you want to do math here. Maybe you want to still be in our music program here. Maybe you want to finish up your world language sequence here. So you're going to put your math class or your world language class, whatever it may be, you're going to put that 1 or 2 classes, and then you're going to put Running Start on there. And we'll talk about this again in presentations next week, so our current 10th and 11th graders are clear about that, but just want to make sure that you understand that now. Okay, I would like to bring up Christy Ann Bowles. Hopefully I can get back to the right slide. Yes, Christy Ann Bowles is many things to us here at Kent Lake. She is our health tech, our second year, and we love her as our health tech. But she is also a parent here who has had a student experience both sides of this. And so she is going to share with you the parent perspective of these programs.
Thank you, Julie. And I just have to start out by saying that we didn't coordinate, the three of us, but what I'm going to say is basically reinforcing what they have said tonight already. And like she said, I am a mom. I have 4 children. My oldest graduated during COVID. He did Running Start, but he did not graduate with his associate's degree. He chose to do the Associates of Science degree, which we later found out is super hard to get in the 2 years allowed, junior and senior year. So he did graduate from high school, but he did not graduate from Green River, but he did have a very valuable experience. My second son, after watching the first son go through Running Start, decided he wasn't quite ready for that adult learning environment, that he liked the comfort of high school, so he stayed here and he's doing college in the high school classes and AP classes. And then my third child is in the process of deciding which direction she's going to go, whether it's Running Start or college in the high school classes. And then my youngest, I have a few years before we have to figure out what he's going to choose. He's a 6th grader now. It worked. Okay. So what we liked about Running Start, that adult learning environment, it was really nice for our oldest to be able to go and experience that before we had to pay a ton of money for him to not pass classes while he was off at college, out of the home, costing lots more money. And so it was a good experience for him to realize what college life is really going to be like. The class selection at Green River is different than at Kent Lake, and so that was good for my oldest because he wanted to experience some classes that weren't offered here. Social life. My son did not have a social life here at Kent Lake, but when he went off to Green River College, he did, and so that was a good fit for him. Like they mentioned before, there is definitely a more flexible schedule, and so our oldest chose to do his classes in the morning, and then he started working, not one job, but 2 jobs, so that he could save a bunch of money for his next steps in life. And then the other thing that my oldest told me several times is he really liked Green River because he was in classes with students that wanted to be there. Everybody in his classes wanted to be there, and that was uplifting for him. So things to consider that because it is that adult learning environment, and Octavio, did I say it right? Said, we don't get calls when our kids skip classes. And it's tempting to skip classes. Not everyone gets their associates, their AA degree, and sometimes students don't even graduate from high school if they choose to do the Running Start program. One of my son's friends didn't graduate high school, didn't graduate Running Start, so he had to go an extra year. He did eventually graduate, which is great. Something else, when you're a Running Start student, it's a little bit more difficult to get letters of recommendation, at least from the parent perspective, that from the specific teachers that you need to have letters of recommendations for, like math teachers or English teachers, that those colleges outside of Running Start colleges are looking for when you start to apply for other colleges. It was really difficult to get those letters of recommendations. Not impossible, just difficult. And there is a lot of coordinating to be done between the high school and Green River and your student in order to make sure that if they don't follow the cookie cutter AA degree program, that they are taking the appropriate classes to be able to graduate from high school. Again, that adult learning environment means that parents, we don't get access to their grades. There's no Skyward for us to be able to check how they're doing. Parking was an issue for my oldest son. He actually would park at the raceway across the freeway and then get shuttled to the high school, which you have to, it's not too much more coordination, but just something to think about. That 15 minutes to get back here to campus is about how long it takes you to get from Green River over to your car that's parked at the raceway, and then here. So that's to take into consideration. And like what Octavio said, spring breaks don't line up. And so our student, we went off to the beach to go have fun, and our Green River student had to stay at the hotel at the internet, Wi-Fi, so that he could do his classes. He still got to go with us, but it just wasn't the same experience. Okay, so college and the high school. And Julie talked about this already, so I'll go through it fast. But at the high school, when you do college in the high school classes, you get to be here with your peers on campus. So if your social network is here, highly consider those college and the high school classes. They get to experience the rigor of a college class without totally committing to have it on their college transcript. For example, if they don't pass a class and they don't want to take that final exam, they don't have to, but they still get credit for to go towards graduation. And then the choosing between college credit or no, which is really nice because, like I said, if you don't pass, you don't have to pay, and then it doesn't go on a college transcript. Things to consider, because it's not a definitive answer for every student. One student, it might be perfect to do Running Start for, another student, not so much. So things that, as we have learned a little bit in our parenting experience, we started asking ourselves, is my student motivated? Are they self-motivated? Can they stay on top of things? Because we don't get to have those backup emails. Like Octavio said, are they able or willing to advocate for themselves? Say they got a lousy grade on their first paper that they had to write in English, and they don't quite understand why, or maybe disagree that, well, I met everything in the rubric, why did I get such a low score? They have to be able to be willing to go talk to their teacher about that. So if your child or you as students haven't learned that skill quite yet, maybe think seriously whether you're going to do Running Start or not. Do you stay on top of homework? Do they check their emails? Like Octavio said, they get emails, but parents don't. So if you're okay asking your student every week, any new emails, and they're okay sharing with you, not a problem. But if they get angry when you ask them, then it could be a problem. And are they willing to do summer school if they fail classes so that they can be able to graduate on time? That's something else to consider. And then, where is their support group outside of parents and family, of course, but where is their support group? If they go off to college by themselves, are they the type that will be able to find a new support group on campus? Or are they the type that need to stay where it's comfortable with their own friends here at Kent Lake? So just lots of different things to consider. There's no right or wrong answer, and each student is different. So thank you for listening.
Okay, so these four people up here are the high school counselors. Again, we'll be giving presentations to your students next week, answering some of these questions again. Counselors will be in the lunchroom a lot coming up here over these couple weeks to continue to answer questions. As we move into the next couple weeks, we are constantly in classrooms giving the presentations. So that doesn't give us opportunity to have like one-on-one meetings, that sort of thing. So please, if you have specific questions, certainly find us in the lunchroom, that sort of thing, email, that sort of thing. So right now, though, let's take the next, we started a little bit late, so if you can stay a couple extra minutes, let's take a few minutes to answer any questions that any of you may have for any of us. So just go ahead and raise your hand if you've got a question on anything. Great. Say it one more time. Which specific video are you referring to? Of tonight? So Mr. Gosnell, our amazing photography teacher over here, thank you for being here, Mr. Gosnell. He is going to need probably a couple of days, I would say, to put the video in a format that can go on Kent Lake's website. So give us 2 or 3 days, and it will be just going to Kent Lake's website, then you can go to Teaching and Learning, and right underneath there is going to be Kent Lake registration information, and all things registration, including tonight, will be on there. Okay, let's go here, and then we'll go there.
I have 2 questions. Question number 1, everything that's in the Green River program, the course program, that's open to Running Start?
You're asking about the classes that are offered? Yeah, so essentially, yes. And what I mean by that is, so there are certain classes that are reserved for certain programs. So I'll just throw like aviation, right? So students need to be admitted into the program a lot of the time, or they reserve their seats specifically for the students currently in that program. And so it'd be a matter of asking for permission to get into the class directly directly from the instructor. And then the instructor will either say yes or no. They don't have seats available for anybody outside of the program, or yes, we can make space. But typically, yeah, majority of them are students can. And again, it'll be the student, kind of to get back to it, they'll have to reach out to the instructor to get permission for those specific ones. So when they look through the classes, they'll be able to see the requirements to get in, it'll specify that.
Second question. You were talking about like accommodations for ADHD, things like that. What other accommodations do you have for a certain student?
There's a list. Yeah, so no, it's okay. So I mean, like, an example is like test taking, right? So for some students, they may need more time or separate space to take their tests, right? So some of those accommodations may be, okay, this student needs additional time, so maybe they give them another hour or something like that, right, to take the test. Or maybe they also, in addition to that, give them a separate room by themselves where they can take the test, right? Or being able to record the lectures, right? Sometimes professors prefer that lectures are not recorded, but as long as they go through that process of going through disability support services, then that office advocates for the students and figures out what are the appropriate accommodations that the school is able to help with and how they will be able to help that. And then they're going to be the ones that proactively go and tell the instructor. So the student doesn't have to necessarily do that on that end, right, when they're going through the disability support services.
All right, there's a question over here.
Pre-med, yeah, Green River, there are classes. Pre-med's usually going to be biology, chemistry, a little bit of math and such. So yeah, there's classes for that. It's a little bit of mix of both of those. So on our end, we go in. So earlier, Julie showed a list of like the transfer information, right? So it's us going in and verifying the information there. It gets a little messy figuring out what does transfer. So the ways that we number classes and organize them isn't the way that UW does. So then it's going and doing a little bit of digging to make sure that it's the correct classes. So like if you're going into biology at UW, right, the biology 180 to 200, 220, right, for us is 211, 212, 213.
So would that be more beneficial to set up like an appointment with you and go over that together just to make sure that your program matches what needs to happen for pre-med? Would that be an advice?
So usually, I don't meet with students until they are in the program because we have a long list of students. So as an advisor, I have over 400 students that are on my list. So realistically, it's kind of hard for me to really sit down with students ahead of time before they're in the program. No, well then that's where you can go and talk to University of Washington. We go off of their website. So you just got to look up the transfer equivalency courses. It's going back and forth. It's the same thing that we would do if we sat down together. You go back and forth between their website and our website to verify all the classes. I can tell you right now, if you're doing biology, we have a majority of the classes they need. Yeah.
Because I did go through this question and I got lost there. That's why I needed counseling on this because, as you mentioned, they require biology 110 to 220. You offer biology 115 to 300. How do they compare? Are they identical or different? That's what I don't understand, and that's why I needed counseling. So that's what I'm saying. That'd be more beneficial to kind of sit down to understand. Because me comparing it doesn't make any sense. Numbers are different. How do I know?
Right, great, thank you. Contact University of Washington for that one. Go ahead.
If a student is full-time running start, do they still need to attend high school classes, or?
If a student is full, and I'm going to back up, thank you for asking that. So first of all, your student can be a full-time Running Start student earning 15 credits if they are in 0 classes at Kent Lake or 1 class at Kent Lake. So they can be in 1 class at Kent Lake. They can stay in JU's band, for example, and still be 15 credits, or still receive 15 credits at Green River. If you take 2 classes here at Kent Lake, so you want to do JU's band and a math class here, you can take 12 credits at Green River. If you take 3 classes here at Kent Lake, you will be eligible for 10 credits at Green River. And so the state of Washington is going to pay for students to be a full-time student, and then we do the accounting to figure out, okay, if you're in this many classes here, you can take that many credits there, that sort of thing. So, right, so as a high school counselor, we are meeting with our Running Start students 3 times a year to give them a document called an EVF. And that enrollment verification form, EVF, we're making sure that they are taking classes, or we're hoping, we're writing down on this EVF the classes that they need to take at Green River to meet high school graduation requirements. So that is something that we're doing on our end to help students choose the right classes. We're not there with the student when they're actually choosing the classes, but we are giving them, what they need to make the right selections. If they want their AA, that's when they want to meet with their advisor at Green River, who will then sit down with them and say, okay, here's the pathway to get your AA. So one more specific with that. So for example, all of our students, if you're going to go to Green River, you're going to, as a junior, you're going to take English 101, and that's going to be the junior English credit for Kent Lake, English 101. And at Green River, that's going to be one of the English requirements towards their AA. And then the same thing with the art class that they take, the same thing with the U.S. history class that they take. It's going to meet some of our requirements. It's going to meet some of the AA requirements at Green River.
Earlier you gave a list of classes at Kent Lake, some of which coincidentally our 10th grader has already taken or is currently taking. For example, Introduction to Java Programming, Advanced Programming, that kind of thing. Yes. So if you have a 10th grader who's already taken or is currently taking some on those lists, will the benefits that you're sharing with us tonight apply to those classes that a 10th grader is taking or has already taken?
Yes, they will. And so, and this is the part that we haven't completely specified yet, but likely at the end of the school year, we are going to be meeting for sure with our seniors and maybe also with our underclassmen to say, hey, you took Intro to Java. Let's make sure, and off the top of my head, I don't know if Intro to Java is with Green River or Renton Tech. Our college and career specialist is sitting right in front of you, or Highline. But we're going to have those students apply to that college, and when they apply to that college, we will give them a little bit of information, and all of a sudden, let's say it is Green River, they will have a Green River College transcript with Introduction to Java on there that they will then later on in life, when they are applying to maybe a different college or university, they can send that transcript to them and have hopefully those credits count. Yes. So one other thing, what I can't say for sure is, are we going to meet with 10th graders this year about that? I don't know. But before your student leaves Kent Lake, we will absolutely be meeting with them. Okay. So a 0 period, you do earn a credit for 0 period, and so that would count toward that full-time, part-time status, yes. Yep. No, as if you're a full-time student, as Octavio said, you can take up to 15 college credits, which is typically, almost always, 3 classes on their campus. Most of their classes are 5 credits on their campus, so if you have 15 credits, it's 3 classes, and that's per quarter. I don't know if we've specified that. So you would get, if you're a full-time student, you would get 15 credits fall quarter, and then a different 15 credits winter quarter, and a different 15 credits spring quarter. So one thing I think that's really important to understand is, okay, so your junior is now a Running Start student, and they need to take English 11, which is going to probably be English 101 at Green River. And so they're going to be in English, let's say, winter quarter. They're only going to take English winter quarter. It's not like high school where you take it all year long. But in that one quarter, they're going to do a full year's worth of work in one quarter. But they will get those 15 credits or whatever amount of credits they are allowed every single quarter.
I don't have a question. I want to actually answer the guy's question over there because I actually, as a parent, I have a college student that's doing medical and pre-med.
Okay.
And what Green River does, because she did do, I have two daughters, they both did do Running Start. So to piggyback off of what your question was, it's really, really, really important that you actually talk to the school in which they're going to be getting into. Because you're not guaranteed to get into any of these colleges. My daughter's had to redo a bunch of science classes because of what her degree is in order to get into pre-med that she had already taken at Green River because they just wouldn't accept them, and she is going to the University of Washington. So that answers your question there. But they will accept the PLU ones, and they will accept Bellevue College. So look into those because I think Hit Lake piggybacks with those as well.
And just to add to that, it depends too if they start a series. So the biology 211 through 213 transfers as a whole. So if you only take one or two of them, you get none of them at UW or depending on the university. So that's why it's kind of hard to give you a direct answer. There's so many little things to pay attention to, and that's why you're confused. And to get back to earlier, is why, like I'm saying, getting you on my calendar is kind of difficult or somebody else. We're completely focusing, like right now, this time of the year, the seniors, right? We're trying to get them out of there. And so our calendars right now are booked out. I can tell you for a month and a half, so it's difficult for us. It's not that I wouldn't want to work with you. The best time of the year for us to be able to help somebody that's wanting to come over would be in the summer. That's when we get the slowdown. And so we're asked during certain times of the year, like our director would be like, hey, do you have any opportunities to speak with a prospective student? And depending on what we have on our calendar, we may or may not be able to. So typically it's, right now, this time of the year, if you ask me right now, I say no. But again, later on, potentially yes, it just varies depending on time.
Okay, I'm going to take one more question in the back, and then I think we'll close it down, but there'll be a couple of us that will stay, and so if you want to ask any one-on-one questions, we'll be able to do that. What? I'm sorry, one more time. Are you able to answer that? I don't.
But my director would.
So
Wait, from high school or for the degree? No. I don't have an actual percentage. My director, she does all that on that side.
yeah, and I'm sorry, I don't have that number either. I do know every year we have several Kent Lake students graduate with their AA, but I don't have exact number. And then on the negative side, every year we have a couple of students that get off track for high school graduation because they went into Running Start a little too early. So it's a balance. Yeah, sorry, we can't be more direct than that. Okay, so it is 7:43. We need to wrap up here. Like I said, Miss McGraw in the back. I think maybe Miss Wainscott is out there too. We're all high school counselors. We're happy to answer. Octavio is here. Mrs. Morrison, I'm going to put her on the spot. She can answer questions too. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out.